This is the time and place for a city commission meeting here in South Dakota on March 7th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Smith.
Here.
Weinreich.
Here.
Bragg.
Here.
Robish.
Present.
Mayor Harrington.
Here. Join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda approval. Does anybody have anything to add to the agenda tonight?
I believe we have.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, we're going to add 10.1 to the agenda tonight as recommendations from the capital asset meeting we had this morning. So that'll be 10.1. Under departmental items.
Motion to approve the agenda with 10.1 added.
Commissioner Weimer's motion to approve. I need a second on the
Second.
agenda. Second, Commissioner Smith. Okay, at this time, the city commission is going to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, have a vote. Yep, have a vote. Roll call vote.
Smith.
Aye.
Weinreich.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Jumped ahead of myself here a little bit tonight. At this time, the city commission will adjourn to convene as a board of adjustment for the following public hearings. And on that, I'm going to call on our city planner, Barry Cranston, to go over these three items.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The first item on the agenda is a variance request by Hader Organization LLC. Everyone, if you want to please come forward and state your name and your address for the record.
Kerwin Hader, 637 Long Ridge Avenue Northeast, Huron.
Okay. Kerwin is applying for a variance to install a permanent campground. And since we have nowhere in our community is camping permanently allowed, since we didn't pass that ordinance a few years ago, we needed to do a variance to allow him to install permanent facilities. What he's talking about installing is merely electrical, not water or sewer. And so there will be no underground for water and sewer, that there won't be any needs for backflow preventers and things like that. It'll be strictly self-contained within their camper. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're talking
Sure,
about?
and I don't know what information you have in front of you.
They have everything that
Do you have a map
submitted.
like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't we get a motion to approve first, and then we can have our questions sort of
Okay.
all lined up here. So I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved. Commissioner Bragg, you need a second on this
Second.
one. Second, Commissioner Rovers. Okay, now we'll go ahead.
If you look on that layout, you'll see, these are where we actually already have power. These are where we have campers during the state fair. The ones highlighted in yellow is where we would have campers maybe outside of the fair. We'd never have these all full. We're probably looking at maybe 4 or 5 campers being there. Sometimes we have people that'll come in that want to stay long-term, that may be a traveling nurse, or that type of thing. They might be there for, 2 or 3 months. Right by C20 there, you'll see there's a building. That building has a shower, also coin-operated washers and dryers in it that we use for our longer-term motel guests. All the campsites in white would only be used during the fair. The one that's up front that says C17, that is where my wife and I like to park our campers if we have an event going on that we want to be staying out there. So. And my son and his wife live in the house, so there's would always be somebody on site. The house is right there beside C17. And we have read through all of the inspector and planner comments, and we've agreed to everything that's written. And we would apply for the license through the state then for the camping facilities.
Any questions? Yes, Commissioner.
So,
Bragg.
Barry, you mentioned we did not pass that ordinance previously. Do we have some other variances already in place?
Yes.
And where are
Yes.
those? How many and where?
Red Book Construction out at his shop, there's a large campground, and I think there's 20-some units out there.
Okay,
And those are all permanent installation.
okay. So this would be,
This would fit right in the same
same area as.
area, and their campers. We had no response whatsoever to any of the correspondence that we mailed out, or no comments received from the public, so that, so with that, the hearing examiner recommended approval, as did the staff.
Thank you.
Any other questions for, yes, Mr. Roach?
Thank you, Mayor. Gerwin, I didn't see most of this on here, so what amperage are you talking on these?
They're, the ones that you see in yellow are half 30 amp and half 50 amp.
And that's okay with the load, I mean, for the
Yes,
load?
yeah, we had this all installed and inspected. Muth Electric did the wiring, and Muth Electric added in extra power for us to accommodate everything.
Okay, and one other thing, did the fire chief sign off on this? I didn't see,
He did not respond.
did he have a chance to inspect?
Yeah, I mean, he and Chris were, they were behind these 10 recommendation items to begin with, originally, way back when we were looking at the campus.
Okay.
And we would have access to any camper with ambulance or fire truck.
Good, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Smith?
So, thank you, Mayor. Barry, the variance request, would that be applying just to the yellow spots or the yellow and white spots, the whole thing?
Well, it typically would be the yellow spots, because those were the permanent installations. You know, the white are just temporary camping spots.
For more
State fair.
high activity at the fairgrounds
Right.
overflow? Should
At the
that,
state fair, they're all full.
should they be all incorporated as one though?
I don't believe so. I mean, the permanent installation, you know, what we're gonna ask is they meet the setbacks and everything, and so we'll make sure that they're set right and all of those things. So I think it's adequate as he's proposing it.
Just the yellow ones in this case. That's color coded for the audience. Thank you.
So I believe it's adequate.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for Corey?
One more.
Yes.
You
Commissioner
mentioned the state licensure, but we don't, there's not, like on red stuff, there's not any city fees or licensing or anything we do.
No.
And is there a fee for the state?
Yes. So much per
We're not.
spot, basically.
Sounds good.
No more questions? I'd just like to read something on, before we vote this, the difference cited from the application for a variance from current city zoning ordinance is that variance can only be granted through the affirmative vote of 2/3 votes of those present and voting. So we need a 2/3 vote on this tonight to go for this. Okay? All right. Anything else?
No, thank you for your consideration.
All right. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, have a roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Wainwright.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We're going to move on to 3.2. Francis, can you tell us what that is?
The next two items, 4.1 and 3.1 and 3.2 and 3.3 are both conditional use applications for medical marijuana. So we'll start with Huron Specialty Retail LLC. That is an organization that has applied for a conditional use permit to be located out of the north half of the Jimmy John's building. And so we have looked, they've submitted all the information. It was a very, very thorough plan that they submitted. We've gone through that. It meets all the setback requirements and all of the things in our zoning code that we passed. So with that, we recommend approval of that. I know that Emmett Rice Stropper is here on behalf of Huron Specialty Retail. So if you'd like to step to the podium,
Sure.
please, Emmett.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Emmett Reichstroffer, 920 South Fourth Avenue in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Nice to be in Huron tonight. And thanks, Barry, for the smooth process to bring my plans to the city and talk about it. My company, I'll try to keep it under 2 minutes and then try to answer questions. But so we're based out of Box Elder. We're not only in the dispensary side, but we will cultivate and manufacture the product as well. I personally grew up in Sioux Falls, but left in 2012 to go work in the industry in Colorado, and then later in Nevada, and had a consulting company that did it in several states. Only mentioning that because it's not new to me. I've been doing it for close to a decade now. So I'm hoping to bring my experience back to my home state and to show how these businesses can run responsibly, in compliance, and to be good neighbors. So the plan that Barry mentioned, I believe, is pretty robust as far as addressing everything you can think of: odor control, inventory control. The whole process on how you even get into the dispensary is really secure. We'll have at least one agent on site at all times with a security training certificate on how to handle different situations, respond to emergencies. But no one will be admitted to the dispensary who doesn't have the patient registration card from the state, from the Department of Health. We verify that. The state hasn't quite finalized that verification process, if that'll be online or we phone it in, but whatever the state requires, we'll participate, verify it, then we allow the person to enter, make their purchase, and go home. Another important thing is, my business can be responsible. We also need our customers to be responsible. I know this is brand new to the community. So we've actually just recently revised kind of our intake procedure, you could call it. The first time a customer comes, we will sit down with them to go over their responsibilities as well, and really kind of emphasizing it rather than just letting them purchase it and leave. We're gonna explain the importance of not driving under the influence, not doing it in public, making sure at home that it's in a locked cabinet so no children can have access to it. So we're trying to address all aspects of this to do it the right way. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the business.
Okay, any questions from the commission tonight for Emmett?
I might just add too, I forgot, the Jimmy John's, the guys who own it, couldn't be here tonight. Ben Anderson and Pete Nelson, just to be on the record, they're also part owners. My company's actually called Genesis Farms, so we formed the new LLC for the partnership, but you'll see our signage and our product labeling and all that will be Genesis Farms. That's the name of it. Thank you.
Pretty good 2-minute synopsis, especially for us, because this is our first one, so it's good to have somebody.
I think the last one I had to be cut off because I could talk about this all night if you let
Well,
me.
you were getting close.
All right, well, thank you. It's a pleasure. I look forward to doing business here.
I have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, no, I didn't say it.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So, how many, you say you've been in Colorado, Nevada, and whatever, you're back in South Dakota, how many are you going to do in South Dakota? Do you have a?
We're up to about 12 right now. So 3 in the Sioux Falls area, 3 in Aberdeen, 1 in Mitchell, hoping to get the one in Huron here tonight, and then 1 in Pierre, and then our other dispensary is in Box Elder. We also have Yankton, and then North Sioux City and Rapid City are both still going through a lottery process, so we have no idea if we'll get any licenses there or not. So about a dozen. And just on that note, that's the reason why we've partnered with 2 local folks who are already running a business here. I'll manage a lot of our dispensaries in Sioux Falls and Rapid. But in all these other communities, it has been a goal of ours to find a good local operator who can be vouched for, and through a family friend who I knew helped connect me with these 2 young men. And they're Jimmy John's pretty clean, well-run business. They've impressed me, and so they're going to be my eyes and ears on the ground. But I'll still ultimately be responsible for the license and the business.
So on the follow-up on that, have you had in Colorado, Nevada, or wherever that's already in place and already in business and doing business, have you had, like you say, you're going to implement now responsibility to the customers? instead of taking on that responsibility, have you had problems with that, or is that why you're doing it, or what's the?
No, it's about being proactive. When it's brand new, you will get a lot of questions. And I know there has been cases where folks may consume out in public and they just don't know what the rules are. So that's why my business, we don't want that to be tied back to us, especially, as a business with a license. But also it just doesn't look good for the whole program if people are,
You are correct.
Yep,
Does
so,
not look good.
and you can hold me to that.
Yes, no, that's fine. How about if, like you say, a card holder has to be the one to purchase, pick up, take, whatever?
Mhm.
What if there's a minor, or whatever's that minor gonna have to be present? What's all the?
So that's a good question. The state does allow for minors if both parents or a parent plus 2 doctors sign off on it. That's a lot more rare. So our business plan is 21 plus, just to remove that. Now, if a patient and a parent reach out to us that say there's a special need, epilepsy is kind of the main thing that leads to a child patient, but we would ask the parent become the caregiver, and the parent would then get the card and be authorized to come make the purchase and bring it home to their child. So we don't ever want a minor on site.
Yeah, good.
So,
I think that's all we got right now.
thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We need a motion to approve. Okay. Yep, need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 3.2.
Yeah, need a second on that
Second.
motion. Second on that motion, Commissioner Bragg, thank you. Will the roll call vote, please?
Mayor, before we
Yes.
ask one question, was there any voice of opposition in the?
No, nobody raised any opposition to it, and they're in full compliance with the radius requirements and things like that, so.
Thank you.
And one last question, I'm sorry, not necessarily for him, but this is medical only, right?
Correct.
Correct, thank you.
We're done?
That's all I have.
Okay.
All done.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Weinreich,
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Robish,
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, up next, Barry, 3.3.
Okay, 3.3, Dakota Herb is a company that is owned and operated by Dalton Grinius, who is also here in the audience with us. They are intending to locate in what would be the J.P. Skaggs building in 276 Kansas. I'm dating myself a little bit. All the kids in the audience don't know where that's at. But, it's basically the Kansas Mall, north of the intersection at 3rd and Kansas. They intend on locating in a suite in that building right next to the pre-existing tattoo parlor that's right there, would be the neighboring business. Just to give you kind of some logistics, but Dakota Herb is a company, they're basically owned and operated out of Sioux Falls, again, in the T area. And as I said, we looked at this, and once again, it met all of the zoning requirements as the previous applicant. So we are recommending approval. Dalton, you wanna come up and introduce yourself, please?
Dalton Grimius with Dakota Herb, 48-250 268th Street, Brandon, South Dakota. We're out in the country, farm kid. So I took that same knowledge of plants into the cannabis space as kind of my background. We have a cultivation facility on the south side of Sioux Falls, right on the T exit. That'll also be our manufacturing center. And then we have, we're working on dispensaries in Vermilion. We have Brandon, the T location, Huron here, and Aberdeen.
We need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Smith moves to approve. Need a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Weinrich. Now, is there any questions for Dawn on this one? Yes, Commissioner.
And I don't know, just for Dalton or for Mr. Cranston or who, but I know one that, I'm looking at that building from the street side on Kansas Avenue. Is there access to every suite in the back in the alley side?
I don't believe so.
We do not have rear access to
Yeah.
ours.
Okay.
It's one door to come in and out.
And how about to the second level? There's no access to the second level?
No, there's no access to the second level through our suite.
Okay.
That's when these guys, again, provided a very thorough plan to include, HVAC, odor control, filtering, all of those kinds of things because of a multiple tenant kind of surrounding. So they did a good job, and they were very, very professional in their presentations to the staff. So we recommend approval.
Can you provide me maybe some information, not necessarily related to the conditional use permit, but what differentiates the dispensaries? Is it pricing, is it product? What?
I mean, the main thing is proximity to the patient. Whoever's closest to the patient is gonna get the business, unless one of the other dispensaries has a price advantage, a presentation advantage, parking, convenience, or the strains. So within the cannabis world, there's lots of different plant types, I would say, that have different effects on people. So, if you're a patient that has epilepsy, you might want the specific strain that has this effect on you to help solve that problem for you, or something with pain, or Crohn's disease or something like that. Different strains have different effects on people, so that's what's going to differentiate the dispensaries, is which strains you carry, so which customers you're kind of catering towards.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would add, just for the record, in both these cases, there will not be what I would call loose product. These are all prepackaged in both cases.
Yeah, all of our product will be prepackaged in our facility in sealed containers that are childproof. So there won't be that deli-style containers where you see, big jars of marijuana that somebody dispenses out. It's a pretty clean transaction, more akin to a pharmacy than going to a candy store.
Any other questions, please? Appreciate the information. Thanks, Ellen. Okay. Motion, need a roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Wondrous.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. It is passed. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. You can leave if you want, because I know you want to.
No offense.
Take care. Okay. The Board of Adjustment adjourns and reconvenes as the City Commission. Public forum or public comments may be sent during a live meeting broadcast on the city's YouTube channel. The link is listed in the city's website at www.huron.com/citygovernment. In order to use the YouTube chat feature, please create an account with your YouTube and Gmail, or use your existing accounts. Please state your name and address for the record. Public forum is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. We also have our HR director tonight back on the computer, and he will talk to us and tell us if anybody has sent in any questions for us. We'll try to answer those questions tonight, best of our ability, before we leave. So with that, is there anybody up here who has any public forum information tonight? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody in our audience that has a public forum statement tonight? All right, moving right along. Our consent agenda matters appear on the consent agenda are expected to be non-controversial and will be acted upon by the commission at one time and without discussion, unless a member of the commission requests an opportunity to address any given item. Items removed from the consent agenda will be discussed at the beginning of the formal items. Tonight's consent agenda consists of 6.1, minutes of February 28, 2022 City Commission meeting. 6.2, fuel quotes for city departments. 6.3, raffle, Beaver County Sportsman's Club on April 23rd at Club 7th and Long Ridge Avenue Southeast. 6.4, set March 21st as a public hearing to consider 2021-22 retail on-sale malt beverage and South Dakota wine license filed by Putters and Scoops LLC, 800 East Easy Street. 6.5, personnel items, recommend the hiring of Kerry Huber for a part-time library clerk position. 6.6, payment of the bills. I need a vote to, motion to
Move to approve consent.
approve. Mr. Bragg, need a second on that.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Rovers. Okay, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Weinrich.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Iverson.
Aye. Bid quotes and items. Tonight we'll have our assistant engineer, Dennis Bennett, to go over 7.1, 7.2. Dennis, talk to us about 7.1, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. 7.1, 7.1 is consider awarding bid for asphalt milling overlay. The bid came in at $1,119,353.58. That was about 3% over what we had estimated, and we recommend approval.
Okay. Need a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
Second by, I need Commissioner Weimers, thank you. A second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Smith. Any questions for Dennis on this item? Yes,
One
Commissioner
question.
Smith.
With consideration of fuel prices going up and so on, Dennis, when we get those estimates, does that get adjusted as the work is being done?
Nope, this price is locked in, so we're comfortable with this.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Dennis on this item? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Weinrich.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Iverson.
Aye. All right, Dennis, you're up again, 7.2.
All right, thank you, Mayor. This is a change order on the work we're doing on the pre-treatment building for the wastewater treatment plant. There's a couple of channel ways out there for the treatment process that were deteriorated worse than we had anticipated. And the product the chip for the change order is with Key Contracting. With the more deterioration we had, this is a better product, and we have experience with it. So we're recommending the change order for $98,405.
Need a motion to approve this item?
Move to approve.
Commissioner Bragg moves to approve. Need a second for this item.
Second.
Commissioner Reimers, second. Okay, any questions for Dennis on this item?
So, if I could.
Yes.
So what was, I mean, I know it's hard because it's a lot of phases, but for this stage, the total budget was
Yeah, I guess I didn't look that. Do you know off the top of your head, Rob?
14.
Just shy of 15.
Yeah, it was 14.
Well, for the whole project, right. But this was included in it, and it's step in like an inch of erosion. We're seeing 2, so we need a more robust product to do the repairs properly.
I got a question, Mayor.
Yes.
I talked to Rob a little bit about this, but is that from about a half a mile west, we're going east to the corner? Were we always gonna do that?
This is in the building down at the treatment
Oh,
facility.
this is all.
So it's in a room
Oh,
quarter this size, I suppose,
oh,
and it's the sluice ways that run through there. We have
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah,
domestic
yeah,
track
yeah,
and
yeah.
an industrial.
yep, I got you.
I need to take you on that tour.
Now I'm remembering how he explained it to me. It wasn't like that.
The place that has this musky odor to it.
Gotcha. That's kinda how he was explaining it to me.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions? Dennis, you know how much I like change orders, but I like the other way, going down.
Absolutely.
I think you owe me a couple of those.
Agreed.
With that, we'll have roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Wainwright,
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Robish,
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Okay, number 8, petitions and communications. We'll call on our city attorney, Tucker Valesky, for this item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. 8.1, consider easement with Gary Isaacson for 959 Colorado Southwest. So on the subject property, there is a garage that has a bit of an overhang over an alley. In order to transfer the property, in order to close on the property, easement is required from the city of Huron. So this is an easement, just allowing the property owner, for purposes of the overhang, which is about a foot
Right.
over the alley.
Okay? You know, okay,
Yeah, thank you, Tucker. If you'll recall, we've had this happen before. Just a couple years ago, we had an alley over on a house that had a garage at 649 Ohio. And we had them sign an easement, and they gave us a waiver of liability saying that if we were to somehow damage the building with our equipment when we're doing snow removal or something like that, that we wouldn't be held responsible. So it's kind of a hold harmless agreement included in this document. And so with that, I mean, Tucker and I have had some limited conversations about that. They'll never be able to sell the house without this type of an easement. So in order for them, they'd like to continue to market the house because it is for sale currently. And it's unfortunately has already cost them one sale. And so they'd like to get this resolved, and this is the easiest way to do that.
okay.
How old is the garage on the, excuse me, Mayor?
Mr. Smith,
Thank you. How old is the garage on the property?
It's,
Within-
I don't.
Is it older than 5 years?
Yes. I
It's
mean,
been there a
so,
while.
it's been there a while. And within the document, you'll see that there is language that says that should it ever be damaged or become in need of repair, you know, that they would then take that time to remove it and
Get it properly
brought into
located.
conformance.
any other questions for this item?
I would move to approve the easement.
Okay, Commissioner Smith moved to approve. Need a second on this item?
Second.
Commissioner Bragg, second on this item. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Wainwright,
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Robish,
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna move on to ordinance and resolutions, 9.1, and city planner Barry Cranston is gonna tell us about this one.
We're finally to Mr. Kemp's application to vacate his street. So he was sitting patiently through all of our other work. So this is a request to vacate the street that lies between the Prostrellos and Wilbrecht's buildings. Mr. Kemp is in the process of finishing the building that it will house the new Head Start building, and so he wanted to vacate that street with the idea that at some point in the future, it probably will be rebuilt and reconstructed. And so he'd be working with, you know, the city engineer's office to make sure that that's done to code and everything. But for now, this is a way for him to control the traffic because of the buses coming in and out of there. So we'd recommend approval.
Okay. Need a motion to approve first.
I would recommend approval of the request.
Second.
Mr. Robish to approval, a second with Commissioner Weimers. Any questions for Mr. Kemp on this one? Yes.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
Robish.
I don't know if this is for Mr. Kemp or for Barry again. I know how far the road goes, but how far does the road actually go, the right-of-way actually go? Is it into the trees or is
It's
it?
I think it goes all the way to-
667, I believe it's in the packet.
It actually goes to the west edge of the
Right.
Wappa property.
Wappa property.
Oh, wow.
Is where the easement
It
goes
goes
to.
way back in there.
My property's about 600 feet, I think, from road to where I want to finish.
Ten running east and
Yeah.
70.
Yeah, it's a 70-foot wide easement, it runs 610 feet.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on this item? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Weinreich.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. That's going to end our meeting tonight.
You got that capital asset.
Capital asset, 10.1. That is not going to end our meeting tonight. Yeah, almost got out of here. 10.1, we have recommendations from the Capital Assets Committee. And Pauline, you going to deal with that?
I'm gonna let Dennis handle at least the first two.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
right.
Thank you. These are proposal, or recommendations from the Capital Asset Committee. We've went round and round on this Omnia HVAC system for City Hall. And it came in $47,323 higher, and the price keeps going up. But this is a turnkey operation. We don't have to go through bid going through Omni. It's similar to the Sourcewell projects. So we would like to get this approved and get this stuff on order so we can get it in hopefully before August. Hopefully before it's hot. Because our HVAC system has given us troubles last 2 summers, so it's time.
But it really only affects people that have an office in this building,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that's,
Yeah, but some of them carry guns.
They're the most temperamental.
Yeah, they get ornery.
I think he means color.
No, it's not me. A quick addition there too is that, we already approved to do the new roof. So it's really a project that needs to combine with that. And then the Omni, we're already partners with them, but we do need to authorize the mayor to sign the contract to do it.
Any other questions on this item?
Do you want these individually, Mayor? Or
Yes, we're doing one at a
I
time.
would move that we approve the increase.
Okay. Commissioner Smith moves to approve. Need a second?
Second.
Commissioner Reiner, with a second. Now, is there any other questions we have on this topic? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Weinreich.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Robish.
aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Dennis, you're up for the next one.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for more for Parks and Rec Department. We had $56,000 budgeted for it. And it was over $50,000 and could not get sufficient documentation to go with that purchase. So we had to take it to bid. And when the bids came in, $64,490.43 was bid from RDO. And they had 2 on order, so they can actually get the more. Where Kibble Equipment didn't have any on order and they cannot get it. And a couple $100 apart is what they were, but, so we recommend placing the order for $64,490.43. The old mower will go from Parks and Rec to the airport.
I would move approval.
Move to approve. Thank you, Commissioner Bragg. Need a second?
Second.
Commissioner Smith, second. Any other questions for this item?
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Yes,
So
yes.
this,
Mr.
so this
Bragg.
was initially gonna go through Sourcewell, but you said it's too big, or can you?
This
explain?
is a Sourcewell bid price. The Kibble gave us a government pricing or whatever at the first one. And for this 11-foot wide mower, it's a specialty piece of equipment. And they didn't have the documentation to support that I was comfortable with. If someone would have pressed it, we'd been in trouble for not going through bid, so. And Sourcewell price is what RDO gave us with that, so
Okay.
they're comfortable.
So ultimately, the increase is more because of the cost of the equipment, not because of that.
Correct,
Because they still
correct,
match the Sourcewell
correct.
price. Okay.
In addition to availability.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
That's probably the bigger factor.
Right.
yep. Oh, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Weinreich,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Robish,
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Okay, now we're going to number 3, that's you, Pauline.
Sure. Pretty simple, we're looking at transferring, the 2014 Chrysler van that we have 2 vans in our fleet. We're gonna transfer one of them to the police department and transfer their Tahoe to us to use in town and short trips. Police needed a different vehicle for their use, and this way then we can possibly trade that in or sell it on surplus to Tahoe and get a different fleet vehicle next year in 2023 budget. So we ask for approval on that.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Smith moves to approve. Need a second on this.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Robish. Any questions on this item?
What are they, what's the police department primarily gonna use the van for, do you know?
Like an undercover car.
Now you go on.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, because that's the only minivan in town.
It's the old cat out of the bag, I guess, huh?
We've been that needed.
All right, we need a roll call vote on this one, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Weinreich,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Robish,
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Now we're done. I'd just like to say that, a little clarification on this, we, during our budget time, which usually is in July and August, we meet almost daily on